All right, y'all. We finna get right into it. Okay. So y'all know as Trump took office, he's been signing away. Pen action is crazy. Been going bananas, y'all. He's been having these Democrats running around with their heads cut off, y'all. It's just been a lot of chaos going on. Well, I've been just following up with Cash Patel's, hearing. And this particular one, y'all, the bimbo that I cannot stand. Two people I couldn't really that just really worked my nerves was KJP and Nancy Pelosi. I don't even know if I'm saying her last name right. I don't even care. When I tell you, those are two people that I cannot stand. I can't stand. Anywho, so in this particular hearing, Cash is got dang calling her out because y'all wanted to sit here and blame Trump this whole time when he said peacefully. He was the one that said y'all gonna need way more police and people out there. When y'all go out there and protest, y'all protest peacefully, represent my name and what it stands for, whoop-de-whoop. Well, they tried to blame it on Trump, right? We're gonna get down to the bottom of that too. Secondly, did y'all see the Hollywood video that Nancy Pelosi had put out around this time, y'all, where she's walking in the White House? It just looks so freaking fake and well put together. Like, I'm looking at this like, baby, say it ain't so. Anywho, y'all, so we finna get into the bimbo, and he's about to expose her, okay? So y'all get your popcorn. Let's go ahead and dive into this juicy hearing with my boy Cash.
At arms report to?
The Speaker of the House.
That would have been Nancy Pelosi at the time. Is that correct?
The bimbo, yes.
Yes, Senator.
And would that also be Chuck Schumer, then the Senate Majority Leader?
The Sergeant at Arms, yes, Senator, reports up there.
He under fire too.
Did Mayor Bowser, the Democrat elected mayor in D.C., either request or allow National Guard assistance?
She put in writing on the days leading up to January 6th a declination for National Guard additional support. And that letter is available publicly to the world.
And just to speak English for folks at home, a declination meant she said no, don't send National Guard. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Patel, welcome. Let me first of all say thank you. Thank you for saying yes when President Trump asked you to serve in this role. I think there are very few roles in all of government that are more important than director of the FBI. There are very few roles in all of government that are more in need of a fundamental change.
Fact.
You and I have both spent much of our adult lives working in and around law enforcement. And the loss of respect from the American people, of the FBI, and of the Department of Justice is one of the most tragic developments of the last 4 years. Both the Department of Justice and the FBI have a long history of being apolitical, outside of politics, of being faithful to and focused on upholding the rule of law and keeping the American people safe. And in many ways, the worst legacy, in my opinion, of the Biden administration was the complete politicization and weaponization of both the Department of Justice and the FBI, turning them into tools to attack the perceived enemies of the Biden White House. Now, you have been charged with going in and restoring integrity of the FBI. That is not going to be an easy task. But before you can carry out that task, and I am confident you will be confirmed and you will be in the position to carry out that task.
Confirm this man.
You've got to make it through the gauntlet of the Senate Judiciary Committee. And my colleagues on the Democrat side of the aisle, who I don't know how many spots on Senator Tillis's bingo card have been filled, but it looks like he's playing blackout and they're all filled right now. But you will be and have been accused of just about everything they can. But I want to focus on what several Democrats have done recently.
Come on.
Which is trying to blame you for the violence that occurred on January 6th. Which even in the annals of ridiculous attacks, this one really takes the cake. So let's just focus on some facts. Let me ask you a question. What role did you occupy in the days immediately before January 6th?
Chief of Staff of the Department of.
You were the Chief of Staff at the Department of Defense.
Yes, sir.
So to be clear, you were not rioting at the Capitol.
No, sir.
Where were you physically on January 6th?
In the office of the Secretary of Defense in the Pentagon.
And what were you doing on that day?
On that day specifically, responding to preparing to mobilize and deploy the National Guard once we got the lawful request from the local governing authority, which was the mayor of D.C. and the Speaker of the House.
Now, how many days in advance were you working to prepare the Department of Defense to help secure the Capitol on January 6th?
Days in advance, Senator, we were in the Oval Office on an unrelated national security matter with the President of the United States, the Secretary of Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and myself. And the President authorized up to 20,000 plus National Guardsmen and women to secure any security measures necessary related to the Capitol. So we were moving to the fullest extent of the law before the requisite request came from a local governing authority days ahead of time.
And while you were Chief of Staff at DOD, how many times did DOD approach Capitol Police and ask if they needed National Guard assistance?
I believe those letters are well documented, numerous instances, and in numerous of those instances, those requests were shut down.
Am I correct that the Capitol Sergeant at Arms said assistance was unnecessary?
That's correct, Senator.
Who did the Sergeant at Arms report to?
So y'all dislike Trump so bad that no matter how many times those requests came in, y'all heard what he said, they got refused every time. This could have been prevented had they listened to what he had said. But because y'all dislike that man so much, and I think now that we think about it, though, if we go back to it, it must have been a reason why they wanted to turn down his request. Like why they didn't want to bring more people there. You want to know why? Y'all just think. Take a wild guess. Now it's all making sense. Because if y'all don't know, I did do a few reactions on the January 6th. They got pardoned. Some of the victims who got pardoned by Trump, and they're giving their testimonies, and we hearing their side that we've been waiting on for so long. It's all making sense and coming together now, y'all. Just put the pieces together. Some of y'all already knew this, you know what I'm saying? But for the ones who don't know, now we can start putting the pieces together and make you say, why did they refuse? You know what I'm saying? More National Guards and stuff like that. Could it have been they already had something in place that day already and didn't want anything else to interfere with it? These are just thoughts. These are thoughts. Let's get it.
The Speaker of the House.
That would have been Nancy Pelosi at the time. Is that correct?
Yes, Senator.
And would that also be Chuck Schumer, then the Senate Majority Leader?
The Sergeant at Arms, yes, Senator, reports up there.
Did Mayor Bowser, the Democrat elected mayor in D.C., either request or allow National Guard assistance?
She put in writing on the days leading up to January 6th a declination for National Guard additional support. And that letter is available publicly to the world.
So, and just to speak English for folks at home, a declination meant she said no, don't send National Guard. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a simple question, because from the questioning from my Democrat colleagues, they might think otherwise. Do you condemn violence against law enforcement?
All of it.
And by the way, is that true whether the violence is right wing or left wing or anywhere else?
There is no discriminating between types of violence against law enforcement.
And do you believe those who assault and commit violence against law enforcement should be prosecuted and should be sent to jail?
Especially those that kill them.
May I ask you, how many years have you worked in public service?
About 16, Senator.
And how many years have you worked in particular in law enforcement and prosecution and national security?
Over a decade, Senator.
You know, I have to say it is ludicrous but sadly predictable that Democrats are endeavoring to tarnish you, to paint a false caricature
That's what they do.
based
That's what
on
they do.
innuendo and smoke. And so you're working to protect the Capitol on January 6th, and yet they're trying to blame you for the violence that occurred. Let me ask you this just as a straightforward matter. What is the job of the FBI? And what will the FBI's role be if and when you are confirmed as its director?
The simple motto on the website of the FBI's homepage is to protect American citizens and uphold the Constitution. If I am confirmed as the next director of the FBI, that's what we're going to do and redirect resources to making sure that occurs every single day.
Facts.
Thank you for your willingness to do so. And this committee will hold you to account on restoring integrity at the FBI. And I thank you also for your commitment to transparency. I think that is incredibly important to bringing back integrity, and I'm grateful for it.
Thank you, sir.
Senator Hawley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Patel, welcome. It's great to see you again. I enjoyed our conversation in my office a while back. Let me ask you this. Is it appropriate for the Federal Bureau of Investigation to attempt to recruit spies or informants into religious institutions in this country, particularly Catholic parishes? Is that appropriate?
I don't believe so, sir.
Mr. Patel, are you familiar with the recent actions of the FBI in this regard, including this memo that I have right here, making a list of Catholic churches and parishes that they regard as potentially suspect and directing the potential recruitment of informants and other spies, let's be honest, into those parishes?
I'm familiar with that memo, Senator.
Mr. Patel, would you commit to me that you will, if you are confirmed, that you will finally and officially withdraw this memo and make it clear that this is not only unacceptable, but that it is an absolute violation of the First Amendment that every American enjoys under the Constitution of the United States?
If I'm confirmed, Senator, yes.
Will you also commit to me that you will conduct an investigation and find out who wrote this memo, who spread this memo, the field offices involved in this memo? Because I can tell you, we've had your predecessor sit right where you're sitting, and he has repeatedly lied to, there's no other word for it, lied to this committee. He told us initially that it didn't happen, that the FBI didn't make any lists of churches. That's not true. We have it. A whistleblower brought forward the list for us. He said then that only one field office had worked on it. Turns out we know from another whistleblower, multiple field offices worked on it. He said that it was never posted on the internal system. It turns out it was. We believe it's still in effect. Will you find out who was involved in this gross abuse of Americans' First Amendment rights? And will you discipline them? And if you possibly can, will you fire them, Mr. Patel, consistent with department policy and law?
Senator, you have my commitment to investigate any matters such as this one that are important to Congress. I will fully utilize, if confirmed, the investigative powers of the FBI to give you the information you require and also to hold those accountable who violated the sacred trust placed in them at the FBI.
I'm glad to hear you say that, and I'm glad you used the word sacred trust, because that's exactly what it is. The FBI is the most powerful law enforcement body in this nation, arguably the most powerful law enforcement body, at least in a free nation in the world. And to have this body corrupted politically such that it is targeting people of faith in this country and then lying about it to this committee and the American people is unimaginable. I'll be honest with you, I never thought this would happen in the United States of America. I just didn't. If you had told me 5 years ago we'd be reading memos like this, I would have said, no way, that's bad fiction. In fact, it's a horrible reality. The department needs to be cleaned up, the agency does, and rights restored and protected. I'm glad to hear you say that. Let me ask you this. Do you think it is appropriate for the FBI to be sending agents, including counterterrorism agents, to the parents of children who went to school board meetings and asked about critical race theory in their schools, asked about the school's masking policy during COVID? Should those parents be treated as domestic terrorists?
Parents
Hell no.
who have the courage to ensure their children are taught what they feel is right, and those who have the courage of their convictions to go houses of worship, in my book, will never be domestic terrorists.
I'm delighted to hear you say that.
Yes.
You're familiar, I am sure, with this memorandum issued by the Attorney General, the last Attorney General, Merrick Garland, directing the FBI and other law enforcement agencies to look into parents who went to these school board meetings, and we know from whistleblowers who've come forward to this committee and given us the evidence that, in fact, the FBI opened multiple cases against multiple parents across the nation, I believe, including in my home state of Missouri, another gross abuse, incredible political power brought to bear against everyday citizens. Why? Because they went to a school board meeting that they're paying for and asked about what their kids were being taught. Once again, I can't imagine. I couldn't have ever thought this would happen in the United States of America. Will you find out who was involved in this policy within the FBI, who agreed with it, who implemented it, who encouraged it? Will you find out that, Mr. Patel? Will you do an internal investigation? And will you make clear that those who supported this policy are appropriately disciplined? And will you make clear that the FBI will never do something like this again?
Stupid
If
like that
confirmed
again.
and pursuant to your congressional request, absolutely, Senator.
Thank you. Let me ask you this. Do you think it's appropriate for the FBI to target people of faith, particularly those who hold pro-life convictions? Do you think it's appropriate for the FBI to single out and target people of faith in order to discourage the exercise of their First Amendment rights?
There can never be a targeting by law enforcement just based on their people's faiths.
And yet, under this last administration, the FBI and DOJ together brought numerous prosecutions under the FACE Act for nonviolent protests. President Trump has recently pardoned some of these folks, but it also includes individuals like Mark Houck from Philadelphia region, from Pennsylvania, who had an FBI SWAT team arrive at his door in the early hours of the morning, armed, of course, terrorizing him and his children, took him into custody. They charged him with a FACE Act violation. Why? Because he took his young son to a peaceful demonstration outside an abortion clinic. When his young son was shoved to the ground, he defended him. Mark Houck was acquitted by a jury. Acquitted. Nevertheless, the FBI used their full resources, including a SWAT team, to try and terrorize him. Meanwhile, how many churches that were firebombed or pregnancy care centers that were firebombed, how many of them were protected by the last administration? Just about zero.
Sorry, he got that spit on his lip, Mr. Hardy. I like you, but y'all, you did that smooth. Oof. Okay, let's get back into it, y'all. If y'all ain't catch that. Oof. Okay.
It is an unbelievable instance of targeting. Mr. Patel, will you end this targeting? If you get to the FBI, if you are confirmed, will you end it? And will you make clear to all agency personnel that there can be no targeting on the basis of religious belief, and this will never happen again in the United States of America, at least not under your watch?
Senator, if confirmed, and it speaks to an issue we were talking about earlier, there will be no such targeting if I'm confirmed as FBI director. And the resources of the FBI, which are funded by the American taxpayer dollars, in the 7 minutes that you and I have been talking about, 2 people have died from fentanyl overdoses. 1 person has been shot to death in this country, and 3 people have been raped. The resources of the FBI will go to that mission set and that mission set alone, because America deserves a better brand of justice, and I'm going to give it to them.
Fantastic. Here's my last question for you. Do you think
Definitely
it's appropriate for the FBI to try and pressure the largest technology corporations in the world, the most powerful corporations in the world, the social media companies? Do you think it's appropriate for the FBI to pressure them to censor the political speech of everyday American citizens to try and violate the First Amendment? Is that appropriate, do you think, Mr. Patel?
No, Senator.
Will you put an end to this, Mr. Patel, if you are confirmed at the FBI?
Senator, if confirmed, I will work with Congress to expose any corrupt activities the FBI has participated in, especially involved in the censorship of free speech.
Because we know from the court cases that have been brought across this country, and we know from the voluminous factual finding that was done, and it's in the record, that the FBI and other agencies of this government under the last administration pressured, coerced these social media companies to censor speech of everyday Americans on a range of issues, from the Hunter Biden laptop to COVID to the Dobbs decision, you name it. They tried to censor them.
Yes.
The Constitution doesn't permit the government to do it. The FBI tried to get the social media companies to do it. Will you end this practice, Mr. Patel, once and for all?
Senator, I will always follow the law. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I like that. That's what I'm talking about. That was very nice. Yes, y'all, come through with the come through. Because let me tell you something. When that situation happened back then with the whole 19, I'm going to say that because, no, I'm trying to censor myself again still, y'all. I got striked, y'all, and I didn't even mention it. I was actually watching a reaction, right? And I got striked, and they said that because that was mentioned in my video, not from me, but the person who said it, I got striked. I got straight so many times, y'all. It was crazy. I was like, my day ones know. Y'all see me disappear for a week and I be like, I'm back, y'all. They ain't got me. They got me. They got me again. They got me. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh. So yeah, something really does need to be done because the truth has to get out there. Um, and that's just point blank. I don't understand how it's so easy for lies to get out there and spread, but the truth, the actual facts, they don't want because they want to continue to have this control. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully they go ahead and confirm him. Like, confirm what is taking so long. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my gosh. And I can see and I can get it because let me tell y'all something. Cash knows a lot. He's very powerful. And I honestly, in my opinion, think that's the reason why they holding up, you know what I'm saying, with majority of these cabinet picks that Trump has picked because he know that all hell gonna break loose. So they trying to hold on and drag this thing out for as long as they can. But at the end of the day, they need to go ahead and confirm this man so he can go ahead and get out and do what needs to be done. Okay? Because we have all these things that Hawley had mentioned are definitely facts and definitely true if you have been paying attention with the last administration that was in there. Yes, all of these parents going to school boards to express like, why in the hell are y'all showing pictures and words to kindergarten through 5th grade and 6th through 8th and high? Like, what come on, like they have better things to learn about. The simple thing, the crazy thing is eventually they will find out, but they don't need to find out right now. That's not something that you force on these kids. Then they coming home asking their mama something. And then the crazy thing is some of these kids has not even been introduced to any of this stuff. They go to school and the school is teaching, and then they come home and then they're asking, you know, mama, what's this? Or mama, what's that? And I'm over here like, that's even with my own kids. And I'm having to explain to them like, baby, this is that and that is this. I'm having to now teach my kids something that I didn't think they were ready for just yet, because when that time comes, it will come. But they have been forcing these on these children, have these children going home not only confused about themselves, you know what I'm saying, but second guessing themselves and stuff because they are forcing this stuff on our children. And y'all know why y'all doing that, because that's the next generation. So hopefully they go ahead and confirm this man and let that man get up in there and clean up like everybody else on Trump's team have been going in and cleaning up this chaos that they have created over these past 4 years. It's been going on for too long. It's been going on for too long, and it is time to stop it. It's time for an end. It's time for a change. It's time to end it all. So vote that man.